Hello guys, and today we're back, and we're going to talk about this Operation Ranch Hand again. So I wanted to do a little bit more research this time. I've basically stayed up all night and done this. So let's dive right into this, and let's start talking about this. So, now, when I first heard about this Agent Orange, I never knew it was a complete operation of some sort. Sorry guys, there's thunder outside. But apparently it was a full operation, and there was more than just Agent Orange. And Agent Orange was just the biggest one and the most powerful one. The US government was originally using Agent White, but Agent White took too long to effect, so they went with the more powerful one called Agent Orange. Now, all this herbicide dumping Operation Ranch Hand started a year after the Vietnam War started, 1962. They sprayed over about 10% of the jungle and Vietnamese, and we can't also forget that they also sprayed parts of Korea and other countries. So, yeah. And I was watching a video on the effects after these herbicides, and it's heartbreaking to see some of these kids and what these herbicides did to them and what it's going to do to kids in the future. Okay, now getting back to this. This operation took about 9 years. Now, this operation had a few different dumpings of herbicides and spraying. Now, there was air spraying and land spraying. Most commonly through air, because it was easier to travel through the jungle to spray the jungle through air than rather in vehicle. So I want to talk about how many agents were sprayed. So there was 4.7 million liters of Agent Blue sprayed, and Agent Blue was to help and destroy rice plantations. That's what Agent Blue main use was. And now there was 1.8 million liters of purple, and that was mainly to test effects and what it would do, mainly why they dumped all that. And then Agent Green and Pink was combined, and they dumped about 30 to 50,000 liters. They sprayed it all over where they could. Now, the next one, Agent White, like I mentioned earlier, was originally going to be the plan, but they changed it a little bit. Agent White was one of the most spraying. Let me find it right here in my notes. I lost it. Agent White, there was about 20 million liters dumped. Or sprayed. I keep saying dumped. It was the third largest dump. Now, we'll get into the big one. Agent Orange. It was combined of Agent Pink, Agent Purple, and Agent Green, and there was 45 million liters sprayed all over these countries. The effects of this is horrendous. One of the biggest effects right now is spina bifida and cancer. Now, there's some vets out there who will apply to having Agent Orange problems and get denied because they don't have Agent Orange. They have something rather like Agent White. If that's something that happened to you, go back and tell them that it was a herbicide. You got herbicide problems with that from fighting the Vietnam War. Now, we had about let's see. We had 85 million liters left after the war. And that's before we started making more. So you might have asked, what did we do with these 8.5 million liters? We sold them to South America. Oh, and you can't forget that we burnt ships in the ocean. So, right now, our oceans are infected with all these herbicides, which is completely mind-boggling. And we sold it to other countries, telling them that it's safe to use, and it's really not. And I think one of the biggest problems is with this right now, just in the United States, there's about 16 that I could find still testing Agent Orange. And Canada has a bunch of sites too. And the US claimed to quit using Agent Orange in the 1970s. Apparently they didn't. And it can still be found in foods still today, like rice. That's very common to find small traces of Agent Orange in there. Because, like I said, all these agents were herbicides sprayed on food. Now, in the Vietnam War, it was one of the worst wars. If you ever seen Forrest Gump, he said he was walking in rain, coming down, coming side to side, and coming up. And that was very true. And a lot of this, I feel like personally, has something to do with all these herbicides getting sprayed. Now, I mentioned in my last video about how many people, on average a day, who fought in the Vietnam kills themselves, and that is 20 per day. 20 people that fought in the Vietnam War per day commit suicide. A lot of this has because a lot of people were spraying herbicides, and now they're stopping and thinking about how it's affecting their brothers in arms families, and then their brothers in arms, and then themselves. It's a very rough topic to go off about, and I see myself doing more of these in the future because I feel like I'm only hitting a tip of an iceberg with all these. I'm trying to get over the fact of why we are still testing these herbicides. If we haven't already learned with these herbicides, why are we still using these if we know it's going to affect people in the long run? I was watching a document, and this lady who lives in Vietnamese, she has a son, and she says, well, it's pretty typical to have kids down here born without eyes and stuff, and this boy has a very severe case. He sort of is deformed in like a U shape, and he's obviously struggles moving around, and they mainly keep him laying down, which would just be a terrible life. So, like, I'm thinking of this in future wars. Are we planning on using agents like Agent Orange? I think we probably will, because of the very low amount of knowings of these herbicides. Very few people know about these herbicides, and actually when I was doing research, I didn't see many documents of this. It was pretty painstaking to find about all this information, and I don't even have much information. I still feel like I'm hitting the tip of an iceberg with all this stuff. So maybe if you guys have any information, reach out to me and tell me, because I would love to learn more about this, because I'm personally affected by this as well. My grandfather fought in the war, so you know how all that goes down. Nice.